NFL Wildcard weekend is here, and we're here to break it all down, give you our predictions, best bets, and more. So, leave us your thoughts in the comment section below. Who do you think's going to the Super Bowl? The 12-5 Rams going to Carolina will kick things off. They come into this matchup now fully healthy. Blake Corum's back in the lineup. Devontae Adams is back in the lineup. They have maybe the MVP of the league in Matthew Stafford running the show, and they have the number one offense. Now, Carolina, on the other hand, they're a rare below 500 team that made the playoffs and, again, won their division at 8-9. They lost two key games down the stretch of the season. They have a bottom 5 offense in the NFL. But hey, they're a really good home football team, and that's been on display all season long. So for Carolina, they're 10.5-point underdogs. They're very young, inexperienced, have a younger head coach as well. Amir, is there any chance that Carolina can make some noise in this one?
You know, the only thing about Carolina that's going for them is the fact that, you know, their defense, even though they're on subpar, they're good at creating turnovers. But other than that, it's not much they're going to be able to do. You know, with the Rams, their struggle has been their secondary, but that pass rush is going to be way too much. The run defense is going to be way too much. Offensively, they're going to be able to move the ball, run the ball, you know, target them deep, intermediate, short. With Devontae Adams, it doesn't matter what Carolina's going to do. I don't see a chance in which they can even stay in this game. I mean, I guess maybe the past couple of weeks, the Rams, they've shown some major weaknesses, but it's like, other than that, man, Sean McVay, with prep, I guess a team like this to kind of get his feet wet and get rolling, you know, it's no way Carolina stands a chance.
And you know, it's bittersweet for Carolina fans because, well, for you know, it's a good thing that you're here. It's a good thing that your team took that step, got to the postseason, and you're, more importantly, hosting a playoff game. But also, you really don't have a chance against a lot of these other teams. And it's going to be an early exit for Carolina fans. But I had the Rams going to the Super Bowl before the season. I had them winning the Super Bowl before the season. So that obviously is going to be my pick here. Amir, I take it you're rolling with the Rams.
Yeah, I'm going with the Rams on the road.
Hey, Sean McVay's the best coach in the league for a reason, in my opinion. Now, the late game on Saturday provides us a rubber match. We have the 9-7-1, nasty, I hate ties. The Green Bay Packers, they go to Chicago, Soldier Field. It could be snowy, colder weather there in Chicago. But Chicago's 11-6. They have a top 6 offense, one of the worst defenses. They're bottom 3 in the league, but they're 6-2 at home. So Chicago comes into this one getting healthy with Rome Odunze back in the lineup. They're at home, and they know what it takes to beat the Green Bay Packers. For the Packers, you've lost 4 straight games. It seems like the wheels are falling off the car, off the bus, whatever you want to say. At this point in the season, they've lost every game since Micah Parsons went down. The defense is taking steps back, and Jordan Love, sure, he's returning to the lineup, but I don't know how much that's going to make a difference in this one. Amir, we know the Packers have been here before. They have been the 7th seed almost every single year since this has been a rule implemented. They know what it takes to pull off upset wins, but do you think they can do that here against Chicago?
You know, I love Jordan Love. I think he's great. And I was hard on Green Bay to start the year off. You know, I said it early in the year that they're the most overrated team in football. I still think they are a bit. And I think if it was any quarterback in the playoffs, to, you know, where going into the playoffs not fully healthy, it will really hurt them. I think it will hurt Jordan Love big time. We saw the past couple of years where you see, you know, all of these flashes for Jordan Love, but you see he's banged up, and, you know, it really takes a toll on him. Yeah. And I think that's going to be the case this week. And the Bears' defense is garbage, but the one thing that they've been awesome at is creating interceptions, creating turnovers, just like the Panthers, but it's a whole different level. I think the Bears at home are going to win here. The Packers are going to have a hard time stopping that rushing attack. I mean, that double-headed monster right there, they're going to, you know, completely gouge them on the ground. Yeah. And the Bears are at home, Ben Johnson at home against the Packers. And, you know, last game when they played, a lot of stuff went Chicago's way. But in this scenario, the Packers, they just literally lost 4 straight. That's just a toll on a team mentally, really, really much. And so I think the Bears went at home.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is the Bears team that, yes, they have a first-year head coach, but Ben Johnson has played the Packers for, the last 6 years of his head coaching or just coaching career in general, being a coordinator. He knows what the tendencies are of these coaches there in Green Bay. He has a lot more comfortability than a normal first-year head coach against an opponent in the playoffs. So, again, I think this top 6 offense is getting healthy. They should roll at home unless Green Bay wants to get another big-time upset as the 7 seed. Let's go to Sunday. We have 3 games on Sunday, and it starts off with a banger. We have the Josh Allen-led Bills at 12-5. Go to Jacksonville to take on the 13-4 Liam Cohen, first-year coach-led Jaguars. I didn't really expect that before the season, but hey, they've won 8 straight games. They have a borderline top 10 offense and defense. They're also 7-2 at home, so Jacksonville, you can't take them lightly at this point in time. Trevor Lawrence is also playing his best football of his career. Now, for the Bills, Joe Brady's doing all he can. So is Josh Allen. This offensive line is doing their job, as well as James Cook, but with no receiving threats, really, a defense that has more questions than answers. They have still found a way to have a top 4 offense and a top 7 defense, and they have the ultimate wild card in this game with Josh Allen. He will single-handedly win them this game if the Bills do. But, Amir, if Josh Allen doesn't become Superman in this game, which he usually does, do you give the Bills any chance to win this one?
You know, I get pissed off when I see numbers like this that says they have the 7th-rate defense, because that is fool's gold, 1,000%.
It's based on yards per game, yeah.
And seriously, it's like this every single year where statistically they're like a top tier, pass defense, and the run defense is trash. But man, like that defense is not good. The receivers are not good, and it's like they have quite literally the worst run defense in the league. The Jags, they've been great at running the football. Their secondary is extremely overrated. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to dice them up. Yeah. I chose Buffalo at first because the Bills, they've been there before. They've been a consistent playoff team. They have Josh Allen, but it's just the situation where I don't bash Lamar for every playoff loss. I don't bash Mahomes for every Super Bowl loss. I don't bash Burrow for every playoff loss. I'm not going to bash Josh Allen because I think they're going to lose this game, and their team just simply is not good. I think Sean McDermott is not a good coach. I continuously keep on saying it. And just to kind of read off these numbers right here, I mean, Josh Allen in his career on the road, the Bills are averaging 33.5 points per game given up and a negative 7 points per game differential. And so I think the Jazz are going to torch them. They're going to have a hard time. I think Josh Allen's going to combine for like 350 plus all-purpose yards, and I think they'll simply just fall short.
Yeah, I think the best case scenario for Bills fans outside of winning the Super Bowl is an early playoff exit, and preferably an ugly fashion where the Jags win by 2 to 3 scores to give this front office, hey, a bit of a push. Maybe it is time to find another coach. Though Sean McDermott has been good, and though, if he goes to another team, he might be just as good, sometimes you need that change of culture, especially at the most important position, the head coach. But we're both rolling with Jacksonville at home. I still can't believe I'm saying that. Before the season, I didn't even have Jacksonville making the playoffs. So here we are. Now we go to the mid-slate on Saturday, and I believe the last NFC game we have to cover. The San Francisco 49ers at 12-5 head to Philadelphia to take on the reigning champions. Let's go to the away team. San Francisco comes in with a top 7 offense. They're better on the road than Philly is at home this season. And this is a team that is coming to this game with no Trent Williams, potentially, as well as some other big-time injuries. They have Brock Purdy. They have Juwan Jennings. This is an offense that is finding ways to win, and they're doing it brilliantly. And really on that offensive side of the field, it's on the back of Christian McCaffrey as well. It's a good thing he stayed healthy this year. But for Philly, on the other hand, we keep saying it, and we talked about it before we hit record today. Philly, we continuously said throughout the year, they're not playing their best football. And at this point in the season, we're 18, 19 weeks into the season, we just can't say that anymore. We have seen their best football, and they are just a fraction of the team that they were from last year. So Philadelphia, yes, they come into this game with a bottom 10 offense. They come into this game with Jalen Carter, which is huge, and maybe the most talented roster in the NFL. But can Jalen Hurts in this offense put it all together and win some big-time games like they did last season? That's in question. Amir, I'll give you the floor first. Are you trusting Kyle Shanahan who is the better coach in this game, or are you trusting the home team here?
You know, I love Shanahan. He's my favorite coach personally. But I just think Philly just have way too much, and it's a bad matchup.
Yeah.
And at first, initially, I had chose San Fran, but seeing that Trent Williams probably isn't going to play, I mean, they're 4-13 since 2020 without Trent Williams. Their offensive line got absolutely torched last week against Seattle. And even though Seattle only scored 13 points, I felt like they were driving with ease on that defense.
Yeah.
And Philly, with the struggles offensively, I think this game it won't matter. Me, you were just talking about it before the show. San Fran's defense is way too young, and they're going on the road against Jalen Hurts, which, even though me and you both were not high on him, he still hasn't lost a home playoff game in his career because of their roster simply just handles business at home when he's on that team. And so I think it's going to be a hard time for the first side. I think it's going to be a hard time for San Fran to even throw the football because that pass rush is too much. They're not going to be able to run the football much. And so I think San Fran loses here on the road, and Pearsall could potentially be out. It's going to be a very tough game for them.
If Trent Williams doesn't play this game and San Francisco loses, that might be the end of his career. So with that being said, because I know he's been contemplating retirement for a while, do you think that if Trent Williams plays, that would change your opinion?
Honestly, not really. You know, it's just I didn't like what I saw last week from San Fran.
Yeah.
That defense is too young. I mean, they're struggling big time to stop the run. I mean, they do not know how to tackle at all. Yeah. And Philly's offense, they've been struggling to get the run game going. But if it was to get going at any week, it'll be this week. I mean, San Fran, I mean, they are a terrible team at tackling. I mean, I'm watching them as a former, college defensive back. I'm seeing DBs just start running their feet. I'm seeing DBs trying to arm tackle. I'm seeing DBs just miss tackles in open space. They're going to have a hard time. And so I think Philly wins at home.
I agree. I think Philly has too much talent, and hopefully we get proven wrong because San Francisco making it another deep run is always fun to see. Let's go to the late slate. On Sunday, we have the 11-6 Chargers who are without their two best tackles. We know this. They have maybe the worst offensive line in football, but they're 11-6 because Justin Herbert and this defense, led by Jesse Minter, have led the way. They go to Foxborough to take on a very young but a hungry New England Patriots team who are 14-3 with a first-year head coach in Mike Vrabel in New England. They've won 3 straight games. They have a top 3 offense, top 8 defense. They're very good at home, and Drake May potentially could win the MVP award. They are out to prove something. It seems like all year they've had all these doubters, and they've got an easy schedule, which, granted, they have had an easy schedule, but they're taking care of business. It doesn't matter who's in front of them. The Patriots are winning, and winning usually by multiple scores. Now, the Chargers, if they want to come into Foxborough and to get an upset, Jesse Minter, I think, has to coach his ass off. I think he has to set up a game plan to get after the young mind of Drake May, to confuse him, to give him a bunch of different looks. And if he can put his playmakers in the right spots and give Drake May some fuss, I think that would be the only way. In a low-scoring game, the defense can lead the way for the Chargers, and Herbert can put them over the top. Amir, I'll give the floor to you. Do you think there's any way that the Chargers, again, given what they have, can go into Foxborough and beat Drake May in this young offense?
So I think the avenue which you just mentioned is that if Minter was the coach of a great game plan, he confused Drake May, kind of similar to how we saw, that game against Buffalo for New England where they threw a lot of stuff out that kind of confused them with different pressures and shows. I think they can win. My concern is the Chargers' offense. Them not having both tackles is extremely terrifying. I mean, Herbert's gotten sacked, 54 times this year, 55 times? I mean, that's a huge issue for me. And kind of seeing how, the Patriots, they don't have a bunch of talent as far as firepower and receivers, but Vrabel is just a genius, man. I mean, they run the football really well. They have great backs. The O-line has been really, really solid. And Drake May is just one of those guys where I think when it comes to a quarterback's first playoff game, I think for him, it doesn't matter. I think he's that good. I think we're watching a potential Hall of Fame quarterback in the making. I think he's one of the few quarterbacks where you could truly say that it doesn't matter if it's his first playoff game. I think he's still going to perform. And so I think the Chargers are going to have a very hard time even stopping that offense, even though how good their defense has been. I think Drake May is a great floor raiser for receivers. We saw all last year, and we're seeing it this year. I think he's going to have an amazing first playoff game to start his career off, and he's going to win this.
You know this because I talk about it a lot as I like to flaunt some of my victories. But when you do draft coverage, you have a lot of misses, more so than your makes. But my makes usually hit, and for Drake May, he was one of them. Early on in this channel's life, I was on the Drake May train, and I'm just happy to see him playing at the level that I thought he could, maybe even better this early in his career here for the New England Patriots. But I will go with the Patriots at home. Amir, do you think this is like a multi-score game? Do you think by the sounds of it, it sounds like you think New England's going to blow the Chargers out?
No, I think with the Chargers, with how good their defense has been, I think they'll stay in it. I think with Harbaugh, with Herbert, they'll have a chance. It's just going on the road in New England, I could just see the old culture of New England having this winning culture, and the fans is getting back in that atmosphere of being a playoff team, winning 14 games. I could see it just taking over, and I could see the Chargers having a hard time. I think the spread was at -3.5. I do think the Chargers cover that, or not. No, I think the Patriots cover that spread, but I think the Chargers will keep this within one score.
Yeah, I think it'll be a slow starting game, but then it'll pick up throughout the second half. But again, New England for the both of us at home. Let's see if we can get an upset here. The Houston Texans at 12-5. They've won 9 straight games. They have the best defense in football, and they're 7-2 on the road. They're road warriors. And let's not forget, this 9-game win streak started with their backup quarterback. They go to Pittsburgh to take on the 10-7 Aaron Rodgers-led Steelers, who have a bottom 10 offense and a bottom 10 defense. Good news for Steelers fans, you may be getting TJ Watt, most likely, back for this game. And when TJ Watt plays, we've all seen the stats. When he plays, they win like 60% of the games he plays. So he is a game changer, quite literally. And you're at home, and Aaron Rodgers is potentially last game if he loses. So you know he's not going to want to go out at home with a loss in the first playoff game. So you know that they're going to give everything they have. Let's not also forget DK Metcalf is back in the lineup. So Metcalf and Derek Stingley, that'll be a fun matchup to watch on Monday night. But Amir, who do you have in this one? I'm going to roll with the road team. I think that their defense is simply too much.
I agree. The one thing that travels in football is defense. And especially in this case, I mean, this defense is nuts on all 3 levels. I mean, the pass rush, the run defense, the linebackers, the DBs on all levels. Initially, my best bet was this Houston spread. But I'm going to be honest, I don't know. Just sitting here, just thinking, about Mike Tomlin, Rodgers, seeing what they did last week, just finding ways to win. Also, too, for Houston, they've had a lot of moments these past 3 weeks where I didn't like what I saw. I mean, last week they easily should have lost, in my opinion. The week before that, against the Chargers in that second half, I mean, the Chargers did everything to lose that game. And then the week before that against the Raiders, they definitely should have lost that game. And so I'm kind of seeing them slip a little bit. I still think they win this game, but I think that the Steelers could potentially cover that 4.5 spread. But it's going to be close. I'm still going to lean towards the Chargers here, but I don't know why. I have a gut feeling that Pittsburgh can pull this off.
Yeah, I was just going to say that this feels like a Mike Tomlin game. This feels like they just come out here and either blow the Texans out or they just find a way to win 12-9. Something in just ugly Chris Boswell fashion that Mike Tomlin saves his job, I guess is a great way to put it. But I do think that C.J. Stroud, as long as he protects the football, which has been an issue the last month, this offense should do just enough to win this game like 17-10, and at least that's kind of where I'm projecting the game. But with those projections, this would be the second round matchups. We would have the 5-seed Houston Texans after a win against the Steelers going to Mile High in probably the toughest environment in football against the Broncos team that has had multiple weeks of rest and prep. That will be a defensive bout. And then we also have the Jacksonville Jaguars going to New England to take on the Patriots. Let's go to the NFC. This would be the bracket, as we both have the Rams at the 5 seed going to Seattle in a rubber match to take on the Seahawks. Honestly, I think the winner of that goes to the Super Bowl. And then we also have the Philadelphia Eagles at the 3 seed going to Soldier Field to take on the Bears, who both just picked up big-time wins. Amir, out of these 4 matchups, I'll give you another look here as the NFC. We'll go back to the AFC. Which matchup are you most excited for in this hypothetical sense?
Oh, man.
There's a lot.
This is difficult. It would definitely be Rams Seahawks. I think, and I agree with you. I think whoever wins that game wins the Super Bowl, in my opinion. I don't think any team in the AFC is going to stand a chance against Seattle or the Rams unless, like the Liam Cohen Jags, which I'm extremely high on them. I think the only teams in the AFC that can somewhat have a chance is the Liam Cohen Jags in that offense, or if Josh Allen and the Bills were to just flip a switch. Other than that, I think this will determine who wins it all.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'd also be excited for that Jacksonville-New England matchup. Of course, we remember what happened the last time they met in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Let's just say Blake Bortles was a penalty away from facing Nick Foles in the Super Bowl. That would have been something. But I finally caught up, man. Last week we had some games go my way, and we are officially tied on the season. Unfortunately, unless Amir will go to San Fran, which I get why he's not, we're going to be the same after this week, and that's okay. We're both trying to get back up to 70%, and here are our game picks on the week. Of course, just to recap for the audio listeners, the Rams going on the road to beat Carolina. Chicago winning the rubber match against Green Bay at home on Saturday. On Sunday, we have Jacksonville, Philly, New England winning. And then Houston on Monday night gets a big-time win on the road. They're in a game that Mike Tomlin just seems like he's going to win. Now, bringing back the power rankings, we did this last year, and if you're a regular here, we usually rank these teams based on the recent week's performances. How they've played, how they've looked, what's the vibe we're getting from this team for their future. But when it comes to playoff time, we like to rank these teams based on how likely or how confident we are in them to go and make a run and win the Super Bowl just about a month away from now. So we have the same bottom four teams, and we're going to go one by one, but as far as a chunk, I think we both have all of these teams losing. The Panthers, the Green Bay Packers, the Steelers, and Chargers. There is my 14 through 11. Amir has a bit different of an order. But any thoughts on these four teams, Amir? I think they're at the bottom of the list for a reason.
Yeah, I think for Carolina, they're by far a team that's last. I think they're like one of like 6 teams in history that made the playoffs under 500.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're bottom of the barrel. I think the next 3, you can switch all these around in any order. I just think these next 3 teams, they have a lot of issues with injuries, a lot of issues schematically, and a lot of problems with matchup-wise against every team that's over them.
Yeah. So just to clarify, we're ranking all 14 teams remaining in the playoffs on how likely we think they win the Super Bowl. And at the bottom 4, we have the Chargers, Steelers, Packers, and the Carolina Panthers. So let's move on. At number 10 for me, Amir, I might get some pushback from you on this one. But I have Josh Allen and the Bills at number 10. For one, I just don't think they win this weekend. So if I don't think you win this weekend, how can I have the confidence that you continue that momentum and go and win the Super Bowl? I just think it's an incredibly tough matchup this weekend in Jacksonville. But given you have one team in Josh Allen who has a lot more playoff experience and wins over a Trevor Lawrence. If they can get that win, it's definitely possible they can make a run, because at that point they would go to Mile High and or Foxborough to play an inexperienced playoff quarterback. All I'm saying is anything is possible. But as of right now, the Bills have too many questions and not enough answers on defense, so they are at number 10. Amir, any thoughts on the Bills being this low for me?
I completely agree with you. I think it's a bad matchup for their defense and the offense also. I mean, the Jags are a top 3 run defense in the league. And so it's like, this is going to be difficult, honestly. And the reason why I have Buffalo pretty low on my list also is because I think they're going to lose this weekend. And so I completely agree with you. I think the Bills are completely garbage. I think the only thing going for them is them having a consistent run game, and that's it.
Yeah, if they can't get that run game going, good luck, because Brandon Cooks is going to have a big day. Now, number 8 and number 9 for me, I'm bunching them together, but at 8 for me is the Denver Broncos, and at number 9 is the Chicago Bears. Amir has that same stack where the Broncos are at 9 and the Bears are at 10. Amir, I'll give you the floor here. For the Bears, for the Broncos, any thoughts on these two teams? Because they're both a top 2 seed in their conference.
I think the Bears are still a team that's extremely young offensively and defensively. They have a lot of issues. And for the Broncos, I mean, they've been frauds for a large part of the season. And I kind of shifted from that talk once they beat the Packers, and it felt like they just like dominated them. But once they lost against Jacksonville, I was like, nah, I mean, they're completely frauds. The offense isn't good. Bo Nix is starting to really, really struggle. The defense is solid, is really, really good, but they got a weak link in that secondary. Riley Moss gets torched. I mean, they target him every single game, every matchup, and I just think it's a bad matchup for Denver, for every team above them.
Yeah, for Denver, look, I think what's going to help them the most is the fact that they will have home field as long as they continue to win. They have a great defense, and they have a head coach that has won a Super Bowl. Not too many of those are floating around the NFL right now. So Sean Payton knows what it takes to win. They have Vance Joseph coaching right now at such a high level that he's getting head coaching interest around the league. They have a great coaching staff, great defense, and home field. So I definitely understand why they could be much higher on this list. But for me, it's kind of a wait and see with the Denver Broncos. The Bears, look, I think it's a good spot for them to be here this early in Ben Johnson's tenure, but I think they have a long way to go. And if they were to beat the Packers this weekend, I don't think they beat the Niners. I don't think they beat Philly, the Rams, or the Seahawks. Amir, is there any chance that you could see the Bears beating one of those NFC West teams or the Eagles?
I don't see it, honestly. I think any NFC West team is going to the Super Bowl this year. And so I don't see the Bears beating them at all. And also, too, I don't see the Bears beating the Eagles twice in the same season.
Yeah, let's not forget that Black Friday game. Also, it's worth note, Jalen Carter was not playing. So, of course, the Bears capitalized on that in that matchup. And number 8 for you is interesting. You have the Houston Texans. We talked before the show and a little bit on the show. I'm high on the Texans in this postseason as a potential dark horse Super Bowl contender as far as making the big dance. You have them down here at number 8. Is that simply because of the offensive questions?
Yeah, and also too, I mean, well, on my list, I mean, my top 4 teams are all NFC teams, and so quite literally 5 through 8, I can see an avenue in which 5 through 8 they're all AFC teams. I can see an avenue in which any 4 of those teams would make the Super Bowl, and so for me, the reason why, I have New England, Buffalo, and Jags over them. I've just seen a bit more consistency from them, and in a sense of like the past 2 to 4 weeks. And I kind of said it earlier, the Texans the past few weeks offensively, they've looked down very, very big. I mean, like last week, right? The Colts, Riley Leonard absolutely was outshining C.J. Stroud to start that game off. He sat out, and you kind of saw a lot of issues against the Raiders. You've seen a lot of issues against the Chargers. You saw a lot of issues in that second half. And Stroud has been struggling to take care of the football this past month. I think defense alone, I think they could beat any 4 of these teams. I just think these 4 teams, you could just switch these around.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But like we talked about, Amir covered the Texans there. We talked about them a lot on today's show. Instead of at number 8, they're at number 7 for me, with the potential to be a little bit higher. And then for the Bills, we talked about them. They're at number 6 for Amir, so there's a 4-spot difference between Amir and I's listing of the Buffalo Bills. Now, at 6 for me and 7 for Amir is the New England Patriots. Like we talked about, they're 14-3. They have maybe the MVP of the league leading the show, and this is a roster that just looks hungry. They look like they're out to prove something under Mike Vrabel because everyone has doubted them all season long. Amir, for me, it's simply the youth at the most important position, which is the quarterback. Though he doesn't look like a second-year starter, can't supplement just not having that key playoff experience, especially if you go down early in big-time games. So your thoughts on the Patriots maybe being a little bit low for consensus rankings?
I mean, I completely agree with you. I have them at 7. It's just an issue where experience is the one thing you can't teach. It's the one thing you can't truly gauge or you can't truly predict until it's game time and you actually watch the game. And so Drake May could go in a game where the Patriots, for some reason, right, he could throw like a pick 6 early in the game. They could give up like a special teams touchdown. And now they're down 14-0 at home against like the Jags or something. And Drake May now has to play catch up and he's having a hard time.
Yeah.
And so I completely agree with you right there. I think the Patriots could be even lower, in my opinion, because I have them at 7. It's just having that experience is huge. They also have a lot of youth in their receiving core, a lot of youth in their backfield. And Ramondre Stevenson, he could fumble the ball twice in one game, and they
That
could lose.
I can already kind of see that happening.
Yeah.
So hopefully they just give Travion Henderson the ball as much as possible. And number 5, we both have the first-year head coach, as much as I keep saying that here on today's show. But it's impressive. And it's the Jacksonville Jaguars on top of that. Liam Cohen and company are one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the NFL. He has Trevor Lawrence playing his best career football. We forgot to mention earlier in the show that Brian Thomas has finally shown up the last couple of weeks for this offense. So that makes them that much more dangerous. Amir, your thoughts on the Jags at 5?
Man, the Jags, your dark horse is the Texans. Mine is the Jags. And I don't even think they're a dark horse at this point. I mean, like, the Jags are so good offensively, but what's been most impressive is what they've done defensively. They have hit a completely switch in terms of their run defense, in terms of pass rush, in terms of forcing turnovers. I mean, last year it was like playing against 7-on-7. And like beginning of the year, they also struggled, but they have been great. Liam Cohen has been extremely impressive. I'm just impressed with Trevor Lawrence. I think the biggest thing they've done this season was getting Jacoby Myers. It's completely elevated their team, and they don't even need Travis Hunter now. Like it's completely amazing. And it kind of sucks for us because the one year we actually get 2 first-round picks. The Jags is going on a crazy win streak, and they finished 13-4. But I love the Jags here. I think they could be even higher. I'm that high on them.
Yeah, I try and forget about the fact that the Browns have their pick this year, and they've kind of screwed us with how well they've played. But that's I don't know. It's a first-year head coach for you. You don't know what to expect. Now, number 4, we both have the San Francisco 49ers. Amir, I know you've lowered your tone on this team a bit since the Trent Williams injury. But I'll put it this way. I do think Trent Williams is going to play this weekend for the simple fact that it could be his last game. But even if he doesn't and they find a way to win against the Eagles, at that point it's anyone's ball game, because then they go to Seattle to take on them in a rubber match, a team that they just lost to at that point 2 weeks before that game would take place. So they're going to come in pissed off. They're going to come in trying to prove a point. And Kyle Shanahan can't lose to the same team twice in a season. So you know that the Niners would probably win that game against the Seattle Seahawks, as crazy as that might sound. And at that point, anything is possible. You're in the Final Four. As long as you stay healthy, this is a core that on offense has been there, and they've done that before. Your thoughts on the Niners?
Yeah, I think if San Fran wins this game, I think they go to the Super Bowl. It might be a bit dramatic, but I think this game is huge from them. We've continuously kept on saying it, right? They've either missed the playoffs or made the NFC Championship these past 25 plus years or whatever. And for me, I just can't envision them getting past this week against Philly. I think Philly loses against Seattle or the Rams, but I just think right here is where the Niners just stop, man. You know, I love Shanahan. He's second for me in terms of coach of the year. I think first is Liam Cohen now, but they just don't have enough, man. Like, it's too much youth on that defense. Robert Saleh can only do so much. I mean, like the guys can't tackle. They're having a hard time stopping the run. They don't get interceptions. I think they only have 6 interceptions on the year, which is like second to the bottom in the league. And so it's like they just had some issues to where I just think they can't overcome. And their offensive line, I mean, like, they really struggled to run the football this year. I mean, like, Christian McCaffrey has been carrying them, but he's only averaging, I think, 3.9 yards per carry. And it's like their offensive line also has been struggling. And this is a really bad matchup for them this week.
It's crazy that we have a team that we both project to lose this weekend this high. Because, again, if they find a way to win, you got to shoot them right up to the top of this list. At number 3 is the team that we think is going to beat the Niners in the Philadelphia Eagles. They're the reigning champions. They're relatively healthy. No key injuries on either side of the field. They've added some pieces back like Brandon Graham. They have the veteranship. They have the championship DNA. They know what it takes to win, but can Jalen Hurts in this offense flip that switch like they did around the middle of last season? We haven't seen it yet, but it's still there. We know it is. They just don't have Kellen Moore calling the plays offensively. Amir, your thoughts on the Eagles? Are we underselling them due to the fact that all of the reasons I just mentioned? They have the pedigree, and they know what it takes to get back to the big dance.
You know, I think with their talent is good and all, but the one thing that's a lot harder that you can't really put your finger on is it's hard going back to back. And you
Yeah.
can have the most talented roster in the league, but in reality, it's hard to repeat such a dominant run like how they did last year. I mean, they were dominant, and the focal point of their team was Saquon rushing for 2,000 yards. I mean, giving the ball 20 plus times, him rushing for 100 yards, 150, 200 yards. And so I just think for Philly, talent isn't an issue. I think talent alone they get past this week, but I think if they have to go to like the Rams or they have to go play against like Seattle or something, I think they're gonna have a really hard time. And it's like, for Philly, I mean, the talent is there, but it's more so been them sort of just underperforming and not playing up to the expectation. But I think they're just where they need to be. And you kept bringing it up perfectly, right? We kept waiting for them to play their best football. I think we've already seen their best football. I
Yeah.
just think this is who they are as a team. They're going to squeak by this week, and I think they're going to stop hard next week.
Yeah, I think they might fall and fall rather quickly, like you just mentioned. And number 2 is the Seattle Seahawks. And I saw this graphic, and I want to bring it up to you guys at home because I thought it was actually very intriguing to look at. So, in short, I have the Seahawks at 2. Amir has them at 1. They're the number 1 seed in the NFC, and they're 14-3. So, with the 12th man behind them, they're going to be a very hard team to beat. Seahawks finished this season number 1 in DVOA, which is defense adjusted value over average on offense and defense. That basically means that that's a rare feat. That has only happened 5 times before, with 4 of those teams winning the Super Bowl. Those teams include like the 1985 Bears, the 96 Packers with Favre, the 02 Bucks with that great defense in John Gruden, the 2013 Seahawks with the Legion of Boom, and the only team that didn't win the Super Bowl, being number 1 in DVOA on both sides of the field, was the 2023 Ravens. But Mike Macdonald, the current head coach of the Seahawks, was the defensive coordinator of that great Ravens defense just a few years ago. The Seahawks are now, again, the 6th team in history to do that. I just think that it's something to look at because when you have 60-plus years of data as far as Super Bowl teams, that doesn't happen often, Amir, right? I mean, the Seahawks, they have a great team, and they have what it takes to go win it all, but I think we both have the same concerns. At least for me, it's simply Sam Darnold. I think the rest of the team is fine, and they can go get the job done, but it's all on Sam Darnold at this point in time.
Yeah, I mean, Seattle, they look great. They're my number 1 team in the league right now, and my number 1 team in the playoffs, the team I'm most scared about. And the thing that's really shifting me to choosing them every week to win, right? I didn't choose them last week. I thought Stanford was going to beat them last week. But for Seattle, the thing that's most impressive is even the games where Darnold is playing poorly, they're still winning these games or they're still in position to win. And I think that's their defense. I think Kubiak is an offensive mastermind.
Yeah.
He's going to be probably first or second in terms of head coaching candidates this offseason. I just love what I see from Seattle. I think their offense still, I mean, they still haven't even hit their ceiling as an offense, in my opinion. I mean, their run game still isn't that great, but you saw last week, their run game was amazing. And if they got a run game like that every single game in this playoff run, I don't see a team that's beating them.
Yeah, Clint Kubiak in Cleveland would be awesome if we were able to maintain Schwartz as our defensive coordinator. But they're at number 2, number 1 for Amir for obvious reasons and all the things that we just stated. And then that leaves the LA Rams. Is this preseason bias because I want to be right? Absolutely. But the Rams are healthy. To me, they have the best coach in the game, my favorite coach of all time. And I trust what they have on both sides of the field. I think Matthew Stafford knows his career is coming to an end, and he needs these accolades now more than ever. I think the Rams come out on all cylinders. I think they close the season poorly to their standards, and they're going to come out and try and prove a point in the playoffs. I think they go all the way and win it, but that could just be a lot of bias on my end. Amir, you have them at number 2. Any additional thoughts before we move on?
The Rams were my initial Super Bowl pick before the season. Me and you both. I had the Ravens and the Rams. I had the Rams all the way up until I saw Seattle last week. As of now, I think Seattle goes all the way this year. Kind of similar to that graphic you just brought up. I mean, their team, I don't know how they're doing it personally. Defensively, they're great, but offensively, they lack in firepower. I mean, they even lost a guy that was key to the receiving core, Torrey Horton. He hasn't even been back at all, and they've still been great. JSN is great. Donald's really good. They got a great running back duo. It's just, for me, the Rams these past couple of weeks. I haven't liked what I've seen. I think they have obviously arguably the best coach in the game, but I just think Seattle, I don't know how they're doing it. People are going to have a hard time going to Seattle and beating them.
No doubt about it. Them and the Denver Broncos. It's like we're in 2013 again with the Mile High and 12-man representing home field playoff spots in the NFL playoffs. Any last thoughts before we get into this packed wild card weekend?
No last thoughts. If Josh Allen makes the Super Bowl, I'll be buying the jersey. If I don't have a jersey because I don't want to wear jerseys that's outside of Browns jerseys. But I just want Josh Allen to get it done. Or, I hate the Steelers, but I want to see Rodgers make some noise. This playoff run for the AFC, this is going to be so interesting. I can see a lot of changes happening for Buffalo specifically. I want Buffalo to completely clear house. I want Joe Brady gone. I want Sean McDermott gone. I want them to draft the receiver, trade Keon Coleman, and I want to see a lot from them.
Yeah,